everyone? Welcome back. It's been a minute, but I'm back. I wanted to make a video real quick discussing two of my all-time favorite characters and some of my favorite characters that sort of mirror each other from two different series. So on the one hand, we'll be talking about Vegeta, the crown prince of the sands. And then on the other hand, we will be talking about Zuko, the prince of the Fire Nation. Both of these characters have insane parallels to one another and their story basis. If you really think about it, both Zuko and Vegeta are two of the same characters in two completely different series that have impacted two generations of kids and adults, myself included. So to start off, let's just talk about the one who came first, Vegeta. So as all Dragon Ball fans know, Vegeta is probably, if not the most influential character in the entire series, right next to Goku. He comes from the high-class society that values strength at a premium, and he is the prince. He's royalty. He's just so big and huge and has this ego that's taller than himself and mightier than anything and anybody can ever imagine. And from the beginning, when we first meet him, he starts off as a man driven by a goal to obtain immortality to someday overthrow Frieza. And for those who don't know who Frieza is, we'll discuss that in another video. But that's not the point. The point is that Vegeta had always considered himself a league above everybody he ever faced. Everybody. Until the day he met Goku, the main character. And from that day on, his world kind of changed. Because up until meeting Goku, he never met anybody aside from, maybe his father, who could actually challenge him in a fight. And guess what? He did. He even got the better of him at times during their first fight. But at the end of the day, he had to flee and he lost. But he didn't lose by Goku's hand. It was a team effort by Goku and his friends. But at the end of the day, Vegeta still lost. And he ran away. And so this would start his journey on Dragon Ball from a villain to an anti-hero to eventually hero through the three main arcs: Frieza Saga, Cell Saga, and the Buu Saga. He was on the Saiyan Saga, so I guess technically 4, but yeah, that's how excuse me, that's how that goes. And the thing about Vegeta that really resonates with a lot of fans of Dragon Ball and just people in general who are casual anime fans is that Vegeta is a character that we understand because he's had a hard life, and he only wants to get the better of himself and push himself to be the very best. And hey, who can't like that? Somebody who always wants to push themselves to be better than they were yesterday. That's why people love Kobe, right? But yeah, anyway, Vegeta is just a character that resonates with so many people. And you could argue that he has just as much impact on the overall story of Dragon Ball than the main character Goku does. And, myself, I would say Vegeta is kind of my favorite character of the story. Second, obviously, Goku, but yeah, it's not so much the fact that Vegeta always wins. In fact, he loses a whole majority of the time. But it's just the fact that this man always has that fight in him, that grit to always keep trying no matter how hard it gets, to keep pushing. That's endurance. That's perseverance. And again, it's something so universal that anybody can get behind. Don't matter if you're black, white, Indian, Hispanic, Asian. We all love somebody who never quits and never stops trying. And that's Vegeta. And that's somebody that, even though he's a fictional character and doesn't exist, his mentality and the way he approaches life is something that can be adopted by anybody. So that's Vegeta. Now let's talk about Zuko. And man, this is where we really get into things. Zuko is literally almost not a one-to-one comparison, but he has a pretty similar story to Vegeta, except for him, he started off as a good character. Like, from coming up from where he came from in the Fire Nation and that crazy, family, he became a good person. It wasn't until he spoke out in a war meeting with his father, Fire Lord Ozai, that's when stuff really, really went down. Like, I'm talking about this boy got emasculated, got literally burned on his face, like on one of his face, like his right eye, burned into him, all because he spoke out of turn for something that was morally correct. He was correct. So the context is that Zuko stood up for a pair of people who were soldiers in the Fire Nation army. They were like frontline soldiers, rookies. They didn't know about the plan that their general, their commanders, their leaders were going to sacrifice them to obtain a deeper strategy during war. And because of that, Zuko stood up for them. Think about it, a prince, somebody who, in all honesty, shouldn't really care about these people because he's top class. He's like Vegeta. This man is head above everybody in his society. But he doesn't matter to him because he still had a good heart. And his father did not vibe with that whatsoever. So what his father decided to do was to teach him a lesson that would forever change his story. By literally fighting his 13-year-old son, Ozai would literally burn this man's face and completely just, boom, fry him. And from that story, from that sense on, the story of Avatar is, continues. And, throughout the story of Avatar, you see Zuko go through these changes with the help of his Uncle Iroh, and having Uncle Iroh be there to kind of help facilitate the change within him, just want to seek out not Aang, who is the Avatar, and the Avatar being the main character of the show, obviously. You see, the one thing that I forgot to mention is that in order for
sometimes
hold up, sorry. Okay, like I was saying, one thing I forgot to mention was in order for Zuko to be re-embraced in the Fire Nation, he was sent on an assignment to go capture Aang and to bring him back. And only then could he return back with his honor intact. So from then on, he's been on a manhunt on this man, for this man. And that's why Zuko kind of hates Aang. And so, throughout the course of the 3 seasons of Avatar, we see Zuko change and grow, and change and grow, fall, stumble, but change and grow, and then until we reach the end of season 2, and we think Zuko's changed for good, until he relapses because of his evil sister, Azula, that gets the better, that helps him channel his inner turmoil and darkness, and then he relapses into his evil ways, and has a huge part in Aang's injury towards the end of season 2. Spoilers, by the way. And then season 3, we see the brilliance of his character arc unfold, and he eventually decides to abandon his Fire Nation roots and goes join Team Avatar. And by the end of the story, Zuko redeems himself in the eyes of everybody who he burned bridges with. And something about that just seemed so beautiful and cathartic. Because if you watch the series from start to finish, you would know that Zuko literally burned bridges with these people from the moment he met them. And then from the end, for him to be not only friends, but to help take down the Fire Lord, his own father, for them, just shows his growth overall. And the fact that he, takes the time to, get to know all of them. But anyway, that's how his story ends. But so the reason I decided to bring these two guys up, Vegeta and Zuko, is because both of them and their character growths are so intertwined. Think about it. They both are princes in their own respective shows. They are both, you would consider, the second lead in a main show. And the people that they hate the most, Goku and Aang, were both laughable, fine, good-hearted people and kids and characters. They both, you think from one perspective that they're both gonna turn from the evil to good and finally become a better person, but they both relapse in two different occasions. For Vegeta, he relapsed when Babidi takes control of his mind. Excuse me. And Zuko relapses when his evil sister kind of does the same thing. It's almost freaky, they're parallels. They both play a huge part in the destruction of so much. But at the end of the day, they still showed up and they still changed and wanted to do the right thing at the end of the day. And they both decided that it would be better to help the main hero than to satisfy their own internal desires and wants. For Zuko, he realized that he can't please his father, and his father doesn't even care about him that much. And that the best way for him to fulfill his destiny is to help Aang, the very person he was chasing after in the beginning. And for Vegeta, it's for him to realize he needs to team up and work with Goku, the very person he hated, who bested him in a fight. And that's what he does at the end of the Buu arc. He plays bait for Goku so he can get enough energy to defeat Kid Buu. And then eventually, help Goku take him down for good. So I don't know, it's just something I've thought about for a while, how both of these characters are characters that you could argue are more popular than the main character. They both have gone through enormous amounts of character growth in their own individual series. And both of them are princes. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about the similarities. Even their love interests. Like, Zuko's love interest is Mei, a rich girl whose father is like a politician or something in the Fire Nation, and she's just loaded with money. And for Vegeta, he fell in love with Bulma, who's arguably the richest person in Dragon Ball. And they got together, and they both had good endings. And it's kind of funny because it's like both of even their rivals, Goku and Aang, they both are like super powerful but super kind people at the end of the day, if that makes sense. And they both kind of married like hometown, like countryside girls. Nothing wrong with countryside girls or local girls, but it's just like, it's those parallels that I always thought of from two of my favorite shows of all time. And, it's something that I think, you should consider next time you watch one of these shows. How Vegeta and Zuko have two of the same stories on two completely different angles and sides. So, yeah. Thanks for watching my video. Bye-bye.